talk about opportunities and challenges in blended learning. May I now invite Dr. Mohammed Unni alias Mustafa. So please.
Yes, thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So most beloved and respectful, the President, Mr. K. Mustafa Sahib, and all the organizers of Cigi, and my beloved brothers and sisters. I have been listening to Dr. Sedde, from Dr. Sedde to the last speaker. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. And my submission here is related to the blended mode of learning and the challenges and opportunities. So the time stipulated for me is 15 minutes. So to the maximum, I will take 17 or 15 plus 1 or 2 minutes. So the modus operandi I want to convey is, so what is blended mode of teaching and learning? And what are the advantages of this? And what are the challenges we are facing? And how will we be able to overcome these challenges? So before stepping into that concept, let me have a clear conception related to what the process of learning is. So then only it is better to analyze what are the opportunities and challenges of blended mode of learning. And you know, see, the social evolution of humankind is by a process named learning. Unlike all other species, which manifest and which interact predominantly by a psychological phenomenon named instinct behavior, human being manifest with the environment, learning through social interaction. And as all of us know, the primary institution of learning is the home. And as a member of the society, we realizes, or the society realizes, that home alone cannot fulfill the needs of an individual, and enabling the individual a kind of fullest adjustment to the society is not possible by home alone. So hence the society itself tried to or instituted the construct named formal education institution, starting from school to higher education institutions. And the assumption of learning in a formalized educational institution is that people learn through interaction. So this interaction may be with the individual, with the object, with the representation of the different context. From that context, the individual internalizes or conceptualizes and express in terms of cognitive, in terms of affective and psychomotor domains. And this is the assumption of learning. And it is a fact that Each generation has adopted the tools, the available tools, or made use of the available tools for enhancing the learning process in an effective manner. Starting from the available mode of communication or mode of internalization, and there, as a result of this transformation, now we are in the education 4.0. And if we go through the trajectory of teaching learning process, we can clearly analyze a transition from pedagogy to the present situation. And pedagogy, as we all of know, perhaps the conventional system of education or the trivial system of education to which we had been there in our schooling time, where teacher is considered as a colossus of all sorts of knowledge, and the knowledge is transferred from the teacher to the student as photons of energy flows from the solar system. And here, the only one source of knowledge, and transferring that source of knowledge from the teacher to the student as a colossus or embodiment of all the custodian of all these sources. And in fact, pedagogy is a student friendly approach, as the terminology indicate. Pedo means child-centered. But due to artifact and institutional bureaucracy, the student become a spectator and the teacher become an active member in the learning process. And it slowly shifted to another paradigm named Andragogy, where the individual learner is considered as an adult being who is capable of constructing knowledge and constructing values, reconstructing images, and with that reconstructed image, the individual learner can question the surroundings and make use of the inputs gathered. The individual can go ahead with the learning process to make a transformation of his living system as well as the learning ecosystem as a whole. And this is what the andragogy approach. And this andragogy approach later modified into a system named heutagogy. I'm from Kasarkot, from my cabin. I'm not familiarizing with these audiences who are the learned academicians or entrepreneurs, or who are contributing in many dimensions to the domains of the social domains. No, but I'm just giving the trajectory of the learning teaching process. And the heutagogy means the individual is perceived as the unit of learning. In fact, before moving to the natural necessity that originated as a result of the COVID pandemic, the system or the stakeholders of education failed to conceptualize and internalize this shift that happened in the field of teaching learning process, as it is moving from a pedagogy via andragogy to a heutagogical approach. Now, in the present context, across the globe, the system is a mix of heutagogy and cybergogy and pedagogy. It is an amalgam of three important variates, like the cybergogy, then heutagogy and pedagogy. Cybergogy and heutagogy, I already, I already talked to this. Just I mentioned, but pedagogy is taking inputs from the co-learners or peer group. Why I am stressing on this present position of the learner? In fact, blended mode of learning is only one among the tools available, but there is a wrong notion in accepting this blended mode as a panacea for all the kind of institutional barriers which happened or which necessitated as a result of the COVID pandemic. So blended mode of teaching is nothing but an instructional methodology, a teaching learning approach that combines face-to-face classroom methods with computer mediated activities to deliver instructions. So it originated in the early 1840s, but it as a method of instructional strategy, it came to the educational scenario 1960s, and it becomes prominent in 80s and 90s. But in the field of education, of Indian system of education, this culture is, the penetration of this blended culture is little bit slow due to many socio-economic and political reasons. And it, in fact, this COVID pandemic and the followed situations followed that necessitated this kind of a blending, where a mix of offline and online. So blended mode of learning has got many different connotations, and it depends upon the intensity of blending that which we are brought about. In fact, a very effective blended mode of learning will be highly effective in a system where the teacher and the taught, the learner and the taught and the teacher will be in the same physical environment. What I want to convey is blended mode of learning is not a synonym to virtual mode of learning. So there can be virtual blending, there can be hybrid blending, there can be learning or mobile learning blending in as synchronizing or as coupling with the offline system of education. Now, next, let me move to why blended mode of teaching and learning. See, as a student of my generation in a school, or as a teacher of my generation, or as a teacher educator, I started 96 in a self-financing institution, and perhaps that is the period where the idea of an Cigi and all spurt ups. And I do recollect that days when I myself also a part and parcel of these infantile stage of Cigi. And see, there the teacher only have to visualize the learning space inside the classroom, and his spatial designing of the classroom and planning for the learning is totally confined to his or her classroom. But as there is percolation of internet throughout the entire domains of life, the source of there occurs from a site-bound curricular approach to a multiple context-based approach. The sources of informations become varied, and there happen access to different source of information. So this necessitated a learner to depend upon many source of approaches, so adopting many approaches, then providing a kind of flexibility in the teaching learning process. So Indian education system prior to the COVID pandemic, it is still in a kind of confinement and rigidity, and it is the COVID pandemic system challenged the rigidity of the curricular transaction, the rigidity that existed there in the curricular designing, and the rigidity that confined in the assessment process of curriculum. And all the three domains were totally challenged by the COVID pandemic. And in the post-COVID era, especially all the educational stakeholders are moving to a blended mode of approach, where clubbing of the offline plus online system of learning is maintained. And now, what are the opportunities that a student can get through this blended mode? The first one is the opportunity for collaboration at a distance mode. And seriously, see, the policy is shifting to such a manner that seriously the government is implementing at national level, implementing a kind of credit transfer and taking credit from in-house and moving to another university at inside the country and the more outside the country, so that there is a collaboration, possibility of a collaboration as far as the learners are concerned in a virtual, and this will satisfy the intellectual aspirations of the learner. And the second opportunity is that it gives us a kind of increased flexibility, which we advance in terms of learning anywhere, anytime, anyone. And now, any issues?
No, sorry, carry on, sorry.
So the next opportunity as far as the learner concerned is, the learner is getting an opportunity to have an enhanced learning. See, a student who is not at all intellectually satisfied with the average level disposition of a teacher in any context can fly to the world of visualization and imagination, and can satisfy his intellectual or her intellectual curiosity in spite of the geographic restrictions and territorial limitations. That is the great advantage of this. And I was listening to one of the disposition, just had your experience, I don't know exactly remember about who was that, and thinking about a kind of global partnership and contributing to the global educational empowerment through the tools of Cigi. And see, at this platform, the blended mode of learning has got immense potential by identifying the studiousness of the students across the globe, and providing acting as a channel for transforming their intellectual curiosity. Then see, it is another advantage as far as the learner concerned is the blended mode of learning. It provides repeatable, reliable, and reproducible resources as far as the students are concerned, and it enhances a multitasking behavior and employability skill of the learner in the world realm, where the landscape of employability skill is totally shifting from the site-bound approach to a multitasking with performance based. And now the role of the teacher is also changing as a result of the blended mode. And now in 10 years, prior to 10 years, or rather prior to 4 years or 5 years, the teaching skills and competencies required as far as a teacher concerned is limited to some 16 or 14 or see to the maximum 20, that too for a kind of verbal classroom management behavior in an institutional climate. Now the teacher has to think about a global learning designing process, even as far as the spatial designing is concerned. So it is a challenge as far as the teachers are concerned. So therefore, the portfolio of any agency which is working in the educational empowerment field is to enhance, to enrich the competency of the prime stakeholders or the providers of education, that is the teachers, to build up these competencies in accordance with the shift as happened in the blended mode. And the challenges, as far as the challenges, to put it in very precisely in a synoptic profile manner, the great challenge as far as the blended mode is concerned is the digital divide that existing in our country. And here in fact this digital divide has been increasing from time to time. This is an area where a philanthropic interference of an educational agency like Center for Information and Career Guidance required to give priority of priorities. So because the digital divide, see it increasing, and I am having data of such kind of empirical data related to the digital divide, that different parts of the country and the third world countries and the deprived communities of the globe, etc., are having. But this is a reality, and we have at any cost the great challenge as far as the stakeholders involving in the process of higher education is to ensure maximum access or equity as far as the digital procurance of the digital gadgets are concerned. And next I am moving to the barriers. The barriers what are the barriers that for implementing the blended learning? It falls under 4 areas. One is the inadequate tools designed specifically for adult learners. So what we are doing now is, at present, the aspirations of the adult learners are different from the child learners. See, therefore, the tendency in our educational culture is that the tendency to just upskill with the tools and techniques available for the kids. So this is the great barrier as far as the implementation of the blended mode of learning concerned. And the next one is lack of practitioner know-how. There is scarcity of competency in the field of using these different tools and gadgets and softwares. And the third one is the logistical barriers in as spatial as well as gadget type. And the fourth barrier is, it's a kind of resistance due to ideological or due to the reasons which a resistance for the sake of resistance that has slowed down the process of enrichment of learning through blended learning approach. And in fact, the calamities and catastrophe which even the highly educated state of Kerala, when there happened a sudden shift from the offline to a online mode, the catastrophes through it is meager that happened in Kerala is due to as a result of this sudden shift. And this sudden shift is can be attributed to the resistance that had existed in the socio-educational political scenario of the scenario that restrict the integration of technology to the field of education. And now, how do we overcome the blended learning challenges? First thing is, see, deconstruct the notion of learning. So the conventional learning is no more exist in the field of education, whether it is from primary to the tertiary education. So therefore, all the stakeholders must be sensitized. There should be a concerted effort from the part of organization like the Cigi to have a kind of massive sensitization in order to receive and in order to equip the different stakeholders, including parents, teachers, and students, and all the educational administrators for realizing the shift that happened. And there should have a clear-cut direction regarding what can be adopted in terms of blended mode, or how it can be adopted. Just simply replacing offline with a routine kind of conventional online system of learning, how we can bring about a hybrid kind of system as per the demands of the context. That is the way, and we have to empower the stakeholders. Then another very important area where how we can overcome these challenges, sensitize the learners to have a digital filtering mindset. So there is a tendency for the tender minds to imbibe. The learners' minds are like sponges. They will absorb whatever water molecule or whatever dust remains there. So therefore, there is a concerted effort, need for a concerted effort for a kind of digital filtering, when it can be used or how it can be used like that. So we are moving from a site-bound system of education to a blended approach, where the individual learner should challenge the conventional system and make use of the possibilities of having exposed to various resources of the veteran universities of the world and veteran eminence of the world. And that a kind of mindset is needed. And I believe that a kind of educational shock, in the right perspective, is required for making use of the blended mode in a positive manner. So let me put a comma here, and thank you for your very passionate listening, I hope, and thank you for your thank you for this opportunity. And once again, greetings from Kasaragod, Central University of Kerala. Thank you.